Hello. So this is the online wine tasting club. Yeah. So on these vines, just behind me, there's grapes, and the grapes make wine.
And the wine is inside the grapes.
There's two different types of grapes. There's red grapes. There's white grapes.
No, yellow, greeny yellow grapes.
No, there aren't. And that's what they use to make wine.
Yeah.
Some people mix grapes to make the wine taste different.
And all the wine is different flavours from the different coloured grapes. Right?
At least according to my dad.
Yeah, they're different coloured wines.
So
here our dad just makes like pouches, and they sometimes come in bottles. But
so
he delivers them in pouches, and then the pouches are in the boxes.
So he gets the bottles of wine, and then he transfers the wine from the bottles into pouches, and he puts those into tiny boxes.
Yeah. So this time, the grapes have the wine inside, and the oil is the wine inside of the grapes.
And so if you appreciate this video, can you please buy some wine off the online wine tasting club?
Yay! And we hope you have a good day for the rest of the
time. For this half term. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Hello, and I'll let him explain that.
Well, we were thinking of getting some new guest hosts, so if you'd prefer them to prefer us, that would let us know. We'll get William and Thomas on.
To be fair, I prefer them to us, so
they're much more entertaining. They seem to know more about wine. So yeah, for those, that's my two lads who have.
How old are they now?
They are 8 and 5.
And they've nearly 6.
If anyone's been watching our Instagram stories, they've spent a fair chunk of their summer holidays playing here, helping out, folding boxes, inventorying things, packing boxes, and they decided they wanted to be on the online wine tasting club, so we let them record a little cold intro. So I think they might be watching at home because I told them they could stay up late to watch it. So hi William,
hi
Thomas,
and
thank you for doing that. Hope you are now YouTube superstars, and as they would say, if you do like that, please like and subscribe. I think that's what you say these days.
Subscribe.
But anyway.
Welcome to the Online Wine Tasting Club. To anyone who hasn't joined us before, we aren't normally start off by 5 and 8-year-olds, but it's lovely to see you. This is super exciting. We're not doing a huge amount of wine education tonight, which is quite fun.
We're not. We thought it was we thought we'd do something a little bit different. But before we get into everything, if we put the Slido up, because we want to kind of see where everything. So we have Slido. For those joining us for the first time, you can either scan the QR code, you can go to slido.com and put the code in, or you can go to the website towtc.co.uk/taste, and then you'll be able to answer questions, put your own tasting notes in, and all that kind of fun stuff. So we're doing food and wine pairing today, so we're going to move the Slido on very quickly just to see who's joining us, who's pairing, who's tasting, who's cooking, who's not. If you are, you are. If you're not, you're not. You need to go back one. There we go. And just so we've got a kind of feel of if everyone's cooking along, we might go a little bit more slowly to allow people to do it. If no one's cooking along, me and Alex are just we're gonna have dinner while you go from there. So
it makes a change from us having a burger beforehand, which is quite nice.
Exactly. So what we've done is myself and Alex created what we thought was a relatively straightforward 3-course menu, or you could buy something similar in the shops, or you could just eat what you wanted to do without being, you've got to have 27 ingredients and 98 pots and pans and all different bits and pieces that you can do. So we are, going to go. I see there's a few people cooking at home. So if we're going too quickly, tell us to slow down.
Yep.
But where we're at is we've kind of prepped our salad. We've made our mushroom sauce, all that kind of stuff. So we're going to start by just kind of finishing the salad with the cheese, the dressing, and the nuts, and go from there. Then I'm going to get the pork on. We've got another camera so you can see what I'm attempting to do as we go. It's not MasterChef by any stretch of the imagination. But what it is, there's 3 courses, and for each course, I picked a wine, and Alex has picked a wine.
I picked one, yeah.
And if you're cooking along, what's your favourite pairing? If you're not cooking along, just what's your favourite wine? What do you think? Who's picked the better wine? Your favourite, that kind of stuff? Because we are not even slightly
This
competitive.
is not serious. This is just a bit of fun. And,
no, it's not.
Okay. But it also has to be said, there are some situations here where, you said, let's do a beetroot and goat cheese salad. And my first thought was, let's go Sauvignon Blanc. And you said,
I did
that already.
Done that.
Okay, so I'll go
it's
for
very much
alternative one.
It was very much a snooze you lose kind of thing there, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So,
I see.
So, and just I know you've all got favourites at home, and some of you also like Alex. But we'll let you know who's picked what, because I think hopefully by this point you're going to pick on the wine, not on the personality, are you?
We've got personality. No, I think that's probably a wise plan. I think it's great to see we've got some people cooking, and but, I mean, you've got to. Is this a standard meal in the Jamie Smith, Murray Smith household?
No, with my children it's usually more pizza, pasta. This has got far too much vegetable and colour to it.
It has some green on the plate, which
Absolutely.
is an improvement. Yeah.
So what we're doing, usually we run through, the wines one at a time. We're kind of going to go one by one so you can put your tasting notes in, but try and look at that. Loads of people just for the
56-44. It's nearly Brexit, isn't it? My gosh. Okay.
He's brought it up already. So we'll do each wine kind of separately.
Yeah.
And then we'll kind of bring it all together so we can kind of do. So the first wine number 1 is Alex's. So I'm going to let him talk a little bit about that.
Okay.
And I'm going to finish off the salad while he talks.
Yeah, finish off the salad. I mean, so the first thing I think it's fair to say is that, like I said,
you can swap cameras
my
if you want as
initial
well, if people
thought
don't
was,
want to
why
see
don't
it.
I
Actually,
go
don't
for
do that.
something a bit like a Sancerre? Why don't I go that classic kind of Sauvignon Blanc, really good pairing with goat's cheese? And he nicked it. So I couldn't go for that, but then obviously I'm now thinking, what would be a fun, interesting alternative? And I just love Albarino. I just think Albarino is such a wonderful, wonderful wine to go for at this time of year, especially when it's starting to get a little bit oppressive, a little bit hot. You've got this wine which just talks of the fact that it's grown on this northwestern corner of Spain, in the Rías Baixas part of the world, and it's grown up on these kind of trellises.
Oh, look, I'm not hidden away, am I?
You're not totally hidden away. In fact, actually, I could. Let's go. Let's go side by side. Oh, okay, right. I'll hide that away. That's better. So I think it's a really wonderful aromatic wine. It's got lots of fantastic flavors that will go really nicely with our goat's cheese there, and a fresh salad.
I'm just going to interrupt very quickly because I was out buying walnuts, as the recipe said, and I was Alex said, I want pine nuts, so I then spent my afternoon sourcing and toasting pine nuts for him.
Oh, did you know? Oh, the whole afternoon.
Because we've got to keep him very, very happy. So, there you are, sir.
Thank you very much indeed.
Remember, it's not dinner. It's not dinner. You've got to talk to the people still, yeah?
So this is, I think the thing for me about this wine is that the level of complexity on the aromas is quite ridiculous, even compared to something that's really pronounced like a Sauvignon Blanc. This has just got so much kind of like stone fruit, flower petals, sort of orange zest, all sorts of things going on. That kind of honey-like character as well. It's a really quite cool wine on its own, but I think it's going to work beautifully with this as well. So
can I tell you, depending what Alex thinks of my creme brulee skill, I think Diane might have the best answer here.
The goo ones are not bad. So that's a lovely wine on its own, but I'm going to try to eat it. So what can we say? This is a classic sort of cool fermented wine. It's grown in cool conditions, and I think it just goes so nicely with that kind of like almost sort of English garden set of flavors that you've got. And
I think what's interesting with it, because I've got a relatively creamy goat's cheese on this, which is going to be a little bit fattier, a little bit richer, which might go with the Albarino with that little bit more floral flavour. If you've gone with maybe a more classic kind of like goat's cheese log, you might be looking a bit more Sauvignon Blanc, a little, some of my first thoughts were to go with something from the Loire Valley, like a Sauvignon, that kind of stuff. But I thought that was maybe far too classic, and maybe we should do something a little bit different. To bear in mind, we've not cooked this previously, so the idea was a concept, and we picked the wines.
We are actually trying this for the first time as we go along.
But we picked the wines based on what we thought, and I think that's really, important, because you don't get to go to a restaurant and taste the food before you pick your wine, do you?
No.
So you've got to kind of go, this is this, this is this, this is that. So anyway, I'm going to have a bit.
It's herbaceous, though. It really is. It just sort of brings it all together. I think it's so nice with that. What's fascinating? I remember back to when we did the cheese and wine pairing tasting that we did. We had we were talking about how it's best to try to taste cheese and wine together, and our friend Jessica was saying, putting them in your mouth together and letting them do their thing at the same time is quite an important bit. But
while you're talking, I'm just going to start frying this pork up. Otherwise, we're not going to eat today, are we? He says on his one hob induction burner.
But it's got enough acidity to cut through that. It's a very rich cheese, this one.
Absolutely. Rich. So how are the tasting notes looking for this Albarino?
Let's pull that up.
Because usually, Albarino's an up and coming, isn't it? Everyone likes a bit of Albarino. It's big, it's floral, but it's still got elegance to it. And that's where it comes from. The coastal region. You're up in Galicia, so it's quite cool.
It is the Celtic part of the world.
So you get it's like. That's why I don't do food and wine at the same time. So
fair enough. Yeah.
You're gonna have to continue once.
Okay. All right. So I mean, Jamie coughs away in the corner. I think it's really interesting that orange is the top note, because I absolutely get that, and I wasn't necessarily expecting that from the Albarino, but it's really that zesty kind of like orange peel, like when if you've got a fancy cocktail guy and he takes a peeling of orange and sticks it into look at that pork.
Ribeye of pork.
Sticks the piece of orange peel over a little flame to try to toast those kind of oils and bring those out.
Like
That's
bartending.
what you're getting. The bartender,
exactly just that orange spritz that you'll do on a Manhattan or something like
exactly
that.
That exact thing. That's what I'm getting, and that's really quite surprising, but it doesn't work horribly at all. It's really quite nice. It's harvested all quite early, and this is all proper hillside wine. You have to get the grapes up high, because obviously you're by the coast, and it is a cool part of Spain. That is generating some heat. I'm going to put the cooker cam on so you can see what Jamie's doing there in the background. We have a little induction hob here. It's not the fanciest thing in the world, but it does a job. In terms of the beetroot, what do you think the beetroot really does to this?
So once again, it kind of depends how you got your beetroot, because a lot of people buy their beetroot that's kind of, either in a jar, in a can, or packed. That sometimes it comes with a lot of vinegar on it, which you'll get this kind of like sour taste, which is great for acidity, great for zip. The beetroot I bought was a no vinegar.
A no vinegar one, yeah.
So it's not quite as sharp as a lot of beetroot, which I think is quite good because it doesn't overpower anything. So the beetroot has this earthiness to it. So when we talk about wine having minerality, and we talk about Sauvignon Blanc having that kind of style, should we flip on the tasting notes onto the Sauvignon Blanc? So we can start adding that if we're going? We want to stick with Albarino.
We're a few of these coming in. I think it's really interesting to see honey also starting to make.
It is, and I think that comes with that kind of like that tropical I think. So it's honey, not as in sweet, but this kind of like that honeysuckle, white flower, pollen-y kind of.
And I think that is something as well that works absolutely lovely with the cheese. Like honey and cheese are such a great combination, aren't they, on their own? So yes, you don't necessarily get the sweetness with this. I think the sugar on it is about 1.5 grams per litre, which is pretty much as dry as dry can be. So but it has acidity of about 6.5 grams, so it is punching through. But it's unlike a lot of wines which have that acidity, it's got so many wonderfully developed flavors. So super cool there. Kathy is loving the goat cheese and beetroot with the Albarino. Well done. Thank you, Kathy. That's good to hear. I shall turn it on now to the.
I'm going to cook sitting down
while Jamie's cooking and sitting down, which is very fancy as well. So Sauvignon Blanc. Now you have not gone as I was going to go to the Loire, and you said you were thinking of doing a Savennière or something along those lines. You've ended up going to New Zealand, which is a surprise for you, perhaps. Not because you don't like New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc, but when you're doing this kind of thing, I would have thought you'd gone to France.
So sometimes New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc, I feel when you go classically, that commercial New Zealand style, sometimes it can be very, very bold.
Mm-hmm.
Far too much gooseberry, far too much overly worked, far too pungent, far too powerful. But I think this is quintessentially New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc. It couldn't be anything else. You know, it's light, it's fresh, it's got that greenness, but it doesn't smack you in the face. No. It's it's not that Sauvignon Blanc that sometimes you can open it from 3 miles away and you can smell the gooseberry coming at you. But this is Marlborough, and there's a little bit more kind of tropical element to this that I thought would be great, to balance that earthiness of the beetroot. And then, the reason that I went with the beetroot without the vinegar is we've added balsamic vinegar into the dressing, so I didn't think we need vinegar on vinegar, because it might have just become just a little bit too much. And also, I thought Loire Valley would have been, if I was doing a goat's cheese salad, that would have been my go-to.
Classic,
and something from Savennière, something from Touraine would be perfect. But I kind of thought if we're doing a pairing competition, let's
push the boundaries a bit.
Why not try something a little bit different? I think most people will have probably heard of doing Loire Valley Sauvignon Blanc, so it's one step away, and I feel people can get pushed one step in any direction when it's coming to try something new. People don't go from Loire Valley Sauvignon Blanc to Georgian Orange Wine Cacciatelli, but they might go, I like Loire Sauvignon Blanc, I might want to try Sauvignon Blanc from somewhere else.
Yeah.
So this is kind of why I went with this.
Interesting. And I don't know whether it's the fact that we're tasting the wines in this order, but I think that the New Zealand Sauvignon's getting a bit lost compared to the Albarino. It's lovely and subtle, and I think if I were wanting to drink a Sauvignon Blanc on my own without something rich and strongly flavoured like this, I would go for that. But actually, I think that's worked out quite nicely with the Albarino. It's a lovely wine. This really very, very controlled, very kind of subdued. It's got a little bit fraction more of that sort of rounded sort of sweetness and fruit flavour.
But it's got a little touch more sugar in it. You're sitting about 5 grams compared to 1.5.
Yeah. But interesting, very different styles of wine. And if we look at the tasting notes, pineapple's the thing that's coming through.
A lot more of that tropical.
Yeah,
usually when you put New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc, it's that citrus, that gooseberry, that grassiness are the first things that come up. But that pineapple is there. The other things are there that you're expecting.
Yep. Perhaps less on that. I mean, definitely gooseberry, but less on that kind of lychee, the sort of that really strong kind of like grassiness and almost like the cat wee flavour that you get from that. I think it's a really good Sauvignon Blanc. But I'm going to go back to that Albarino.
Are you now?
Yeah, without a touch of bias whatsoever, I'm going to say that I think I prefer the Albarino. Who'd have thought it?
Who'd have thought the one that you picked?
The one that I picked. But very interesting how the flavour of the cheese really does change the flavour of the wine.
So back to the muscle work. What's interesting about this is that they're very careful as to where they get their grapes. So sometimes you get Marlborough's Marlborough, yeah?
Yeah.
But these guys have vineyards in different parts of Marlborough. So they're able to pick different parts and blend to come up with the style that they're looking for.
Yeah.
I just want to be aware that I'm cooking in the background, and if it's overpowering my microphone, please let me know. People might enjoy that it's overpowering my microphone, so they don't get to hear me. But I'm just checking in.
We can always move it closer to your mouth, but go away. Yeah. Interesting. See that. So I think what can we say about the different places that these are grown? Well, I mean, it's really comparing chalk and cheese. They're both fairly close to the coast, aren't they? You know, Marlborough in between the two islands. Well, not in between the two islands, but in that zone that's near the gap between the two islands.
You're surrounded on basically three sides by water
yeah.
there, almost. You know, if you go round to where Nelson is, you've got the Tasman Bay, which is all three sides.
Yeah, true.
More sunlight hours here, so you're going to get riper fruit. But I just think it is that difference that well-made Albarino can be a little bit. I don't know. I want to say it's more delicate, but
not like this one, but yeah.
But it's got more. I think there's more complexity in the Albarino.
In this one, for sure. A lot of the stuff that you're starting to find Albarino almost being offered in pubs as a kind of almost like a Pinot Grigio alternative, and that stuff tends to get a bit lost. But I think it's really fun to see this kind of long-running family, what they can do in these pristine little sites as well. Quite late harvest as well for that part of the world, in sort of late September. Interesting.
I like it. Do we want to move on and see if people have a favourite or not a favourite?
Let's look it on. Let's have just one last little look at those notes, because we're getting Granny Smith apples, mango, guava. There's some wonderful tasting notes there. And that is smelling fabulous. We haven't yet mastered smell-o-vision or smell screening, but that's an excellent question. The Grey Wacky Wild Ferment. I think that would be a very good one to try. I think that would be a really cool one
that's
to try.
a funkier style. So
yeah, that's slightly
for those who don't know Grey Wacky or had the Wild Ferment, made by a winemaker called Kevin Judd. He makes, he used to be at Cloudy Bay. So
he was Mr. Cloudy Bay.
So what there is to know about New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc is him.
Yeah.
But Grey Wacky Wild Ferment, so it's all done with, as it says, wild yeast, and it has a little bit more richness, a little bit more texture than your classic kind of Marlborough.
Yeah.
Right. So where are we at? Well, so the pork is in the pan, and I'm about to I pre-made my mushroom sauce because that's how the world goes. Cook that down, so we're going to get that in there over the top, and this is just kind of a reheat and let the pork kind of sit in it. We kind of said, for best results, I would have taken the pork out and put it back in, but then I realised it's now 8:30. So, did anyone go to Alex's garden? Nobody. So
you would have found that the children have been attacking these peas with great gusto. They've been really thoroughly enjoyed by the children.
So we just want to get that sat. With peas, I generally tend to not mix them in, because if you mix them in, they take on the colour of the sauce and they become a brown garnish. So I just kind of let them sit on the top just to get the residual heat to get them through. We'll let that sit for another 5 or so minutes. Then I'm going to add the tomatoes, and then we're going to be about there. But what we'll do, feel free to get wine 3 and 4 in the glass if you're drinking along, cool. So no one's left out. But I'm going to shotgun Alex into a promo. You want to do a promo? We're going to
promo? Okay. All right.
You want to do this promo first, or you want to do the other promo first?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Or do you want to do the food? Sort of food.
We're cooking food. We're actively cooking food.
Okay. Right.
So while we're talking about this, we're on YouTube talking about food, but it turns out there are some people who do it a little bit more successfully than the two of us.
More often.
And they are such wonderful people. The wonderful Ben Eberell, who's been a member of the club pretty much since it started, and still gets mystery cases from us, as you should do too. Ben was Andrew Lloyd Webber's private chef, and I think it was more than 10 years ago now they started up their channel, wasn't it?
14, I want to say.
14 years ago, they started their channel. Just a group of 4 friends from university, and they now have nearly 3 million subscribers. They have done a tasting with they've done collaborative videos with Prince William. You know, I've heard of him. Like there's some sort of C-grade celebrities, and then there's members of the royal family. They decided that after years and years of doing all these great fun food challenges, they wanted to do something with wine. And so they have done what looks rather familiar to those of you who are on the club, but this is the Sorted Food wine tasting pairing, and it's we helped them pick. We put I think about 40 different wines in front of them and said, right, what are we going to do here? Let's open a few of these and see what you like. And you know, the kind of the starting point was, let's just introduce Generation Z to wine, because a lot of them don't do wine. They don't know wine. They don't care about wine, and that's absolutely fine. But it's a shame, because there's so many cool things that they could discover. So that's what these guys are trying to do. They wanted to do 6 classic wines, and the sort of starting point was, let's do a Pinot Grigio, let's do a Pinot Noir. And we sat there and we thought, well, do you know what? Yeah, but why don't we just make it one step kind of away from that? So if you like a Pinot Grigio, or in that sort of style of that Pinot Grigio, why don't we do something a tiny bit different? And so we went through that, and then we added in a super cool rosé from our friend Tom at Paso Primero, who those of you who've been with us for years might remember. Yeah, it's going to be a really fun tasting. We are not presenting it. You'll be delighted to hear, but they have some proper professionals in a proper studio doing it, and it's going to be so much fun. We have about 100 kits left, which is they're going quite fast. So if you would like to get one, do grab one now. They're $29.95 plus postage, and yeah, they are going out the door in the next few days. So the live tasting is on the 13th of September at 7 p.m. and that is done by them, and we will be tasting along and enjoying watching somebody else do the talking for a change rather than us. So
you got the QR code so people can scan it if they want to.
I have a QR code. If people would like to do that, then yeah, absolutely. There are 2 options, of course. You can buy the tasting pack like this, or you could go and buy a full bottle set, which is obviously great value because we don't have to spend hours repacking it. But yeah, those are there. You've got a link, I think, on your tasting brochure as well. It's going to be great fun. But I think I would like to find out who has won the first round. Do we find that out now, or do we find that out later?
Yes, you find that out now.
Okay,
if you move it on, everyone can
the
vote.
voting screens. Whose wine do you think works best with the goat's cheese salad, or just which one do you prefer? Get your votes in now and make a sommelier cry.
It's harsh.
Harsh, but not inaccurate. Yeah, I think I'm with you there, Pauline. Squirrels pulled up my peas. That's so funny. Ours would have to be said. They're definitely getting past their best. What we've done is my wife has planted what she calls this kind of holy trinity of vegetables to try to grow with each other, which was sweet corn, as in maize. Amazing idea. Some kind of pumpkin-y thing as well, and the peas. And the idea was that the peas and the maize and the gourds would effectively, oh my god, they would do their thing together and support each other. What happened in reality was that the peas popped out and went crazy, and it didn't quite work out exactly as planned on this occasion, but they were still very tasty and the kids loved them. So yes, watch out for the squirrels.
It will be on demand.
It will be, of course, available to watch anytime.
Live, you can watch it afterwards anytime
you like.
And even if you don't fancy a tasting pack, it's on the internet. You can watch along, see what you think of those new guys. What's on
at the proms on the 13th of September? I was at Mozart last night with my wife, which was very fun, with one of the most charismatic Italian conductors I've ever seen. He was conducting the orchestra with a sort of he would just make a little expression. He'd stand back and go. It was so fun. I've never seen anything like it. It was Absolutely hilarious. So, yeah. What's wine number 3?
Red.
Red.
You know what?
Which red?
I'm not bothered.
You don't know. Am I bothered?
No, I'm not bothered anymore. You know, people aren't picking my Sauvignon Blanc. I'm not going to do a wine tasting anymore. It's okay. It's all right. I'm going to be out of a job. You know, I'm here as the wine guy, and I can't even get that right. And you know, it'll be the Alex Taylor Wine Show.
Well, given that I was trying to choose the wine that you chose, then I wouldn't worry too much about it.
We would have both picked.
Anyway,
so
anyway,
so this was interesting.
Does look like it's the Albarino. Sorry, mate.
Okay, fine. You know, we'll all remember last year when we did a Spanish chicken cooked with Rioja, and I paired it with an Italian white and smashed it. But that's a whole different story.
That's a different story. Right, which is which?
So
you're going to blind me on these now, aren't you?
3, 4.
3 and 4. Okay.
So this was interesting because this is quite a it's a dish that could do a lot of different things. And we ummed and ahed about where we could go, and then it was kind of perfect pairings versus a balanced tasting, because I completely believe that this pork can go very well with white wine. So, you know, one of my first thoughts was do a big kind of rich, buttery Chardonnay to go with it, the fresh peas, all that kind of stuff. But then you've got, you know, and it's cooked with white wine. It's white wine in this. But then we've got mushrooms, we've got tomatoes, which cry out for something with a bit more acidity. So I've gone with a light style red. And this is Mandorla Rossa's Frappato.
Yeah.
So Frappato is a grape that grows on. So we're down in Sicily here. So southern Italy, island off the toe of the boot, and I think Sicily makes some of the best value wines in the world, and some of the cool stuff because there's so many indigenous grapes there that aren't grown anywhere else. All of south of Italy in general, you know. And if we talk Italian history for about 5 seconds, the north of Italy tried to keep up with the cool kids, ripped a load of stuff up, and planted a lot more of the international varietals. There's a lot of Cab Merlot, those kind of things, especially in Tuscany and the Super Tuscans, that kind of stuff. In the south, there's been a lot of kind of cooperatives have kind of come together to look after indigenous and ancient grapes. So we're seeing things from Aglianico de Vulture and Greco di Tufo and Mandorla Rossa and Inzolia and those kind of grapes that you don't really see anywhere else. So sometimes they're a little bit difficult to pick off, you know, a wine list and go, what's this for a Frappato? But this is kind of like a spicy Pinot Noir.
It is, and it's a spicy, smoky Pinot Noir as well. It's almost in that kind of, dare I say it, but without any of the bad characteristics. It's heading into where those really good pinotages are in South Africa. Interesting. With a really kind of very kind of floral note again to it.
A very floral note, and it's. And I want to say I don't want to get ahead of like next month's taste. It's almost like, and it's another weird grape, so I'm just going off a tangent. It's almost like Zweigelt-y, like Blaufränkisch, like you know,
yes.
With that spice, with that smoke. And I think so. You've got this lightness, so it's not going to overpower the pork, but you've got enough oomph and smokiness that it will go with the mushrooms. It's got that acidity to pair up with the acid coming out of the tomatoes. So
okay, interesting. Well, we can drink it. Let's have a quick look at where people are. Love hearts, yes, there we go. Red currants, sour cherry, hot cherries, cherry. There's some strong notes coming through. It
does have that kind of candiedness about it, but not in a fake way. You know, sometimes you go, oh, it's candy. It tastes like Jolly Ranchers.
God, yes.
And you go, it's so fake and sweet and sugar. It's not that banged into it. It's definitely.
No, that's really cool. That's a fun wine. I like that a lot. This is, my choice is definitely a lot more kind of, dare I say it, traditional. But obviously, you know, we've gone to South Africa. I think that for food with a little bit of oomph to it, South African wines are so good, and even the name just shouts it. The Pepper Pot. I think that's such a cool wine, and plus it has a little bit of Tannat in it. And
what's Tannat like about that?
I'm waiting for that one. Yes,
it's all there.
But that's if you wanted something to say, let's pip you in there. Let's kind of do that sort of that little bit of punch and spice to it, then Tanat is probably a cool grape to do that with.
So anyone who's cooking along, how are they doing? Because I think I'm close to chucking mine on a plate, he says.
That's an excellent question. I don't have your tasting, your notes in front of me, but I would be tempted to say there's definitely a little bit of carbonic going on in that. Like whether it's all just been put in as whole bunches for a while. Do they mention anything or?
No,
they don't.
But
that's not to say they haven't. I'm with you on that.
It's mechanical harvested, so you might have got some going on as it gets to the winery. But to be fair, there might be a bit of whole bunch, but I don't think carbonic. It's not bubblegummy.
It's not going into that, no, but it has that kind of that sort of like cherry liqueur, the kirsch kind of note that you do sometimes get. So whether it is or isn't, to be fair, when you said when you mechanically harvest the grapes and a big machine comes along, shakes the vines, and the grapes fall down onto a conveyor belt, takes them up into a big lorry. It's not impossible to get them.
People should take pictures of their pork and put it on Instagram and tag us. If
you have some food and wine, take a picture and put it on social media and tag us at Online Wine Tasting Club, and that will be lovely to see what you're doing. And I think the thing for me about that the mechanical harvesting, it's likely to break the skins of the grape, but not guaranteed. So when you're doing that kind of process, it's really much for muchness. But I suppose it's unlikely that you'd get 100% carbonic maceration like a Beaujolais, but you definitely have that kind of that kirshy cherry flavour to it. So I see where you're going with that. Looking forward to this.
You got to keep talking, not looking at me.
Okay, all right. So the pepper pot, because I don't know sort all about your when it comes to.
Sorry, we're still.
Let's talk quickly about the tasting notes because they were evolving, but it's still staying in that kind of spice. Vimto is in there, a cheeky Vimto. Wasn't that the one you made with port? Parma Vice.
Port and WKD Blue.
Yes, that was it. Yeah. Excellent. All right, hold on. Was this the plate up camera? Oh, very nice. Yeah, lovely.
Chef. Yeah, sir.
Thank you very much.
I'm hoping I've not made you a medium rare off this induction burner because it's a little bit different to my normal cooking, but
Yeah, you're a gas chap, aren't you?
I am very gas-like. But anyway, we'll get this dished up and love to see what everyone else is doing.
Thank you, Kathy. Bravo. Apparently there are a few Instagrams up, which is wonderful.
Nice.
Okay, so nice wine, cool wine. Let's try it with some pork. No, that is cooked to perfection, mate.
You could say mate, or you could say yes, chef. Your choice.
Interesting. It's a rich sauce. The mushrooms have really given it lots of sort of umami, which is really cool. It goes beautifully. The fruit really brings just out something wonderful in that pork. It just adds into what you're doing there, what's going on the plate. That's very cool.
It's amazing that I'm cooking to make you feel good about your wine pairings, isn't it? I'm just matching my culinary skills to your wine pairings today. Could have done anything to win, couldn't I? I've cooked, I've selected the wines, and I'm still not going to win.
We don't know that yet because this is, I think that's, from what I'm tasting there, that's almost like having pork with almost a kind of a fruit jelly. That's something so fruity about that. It's
almost like pork and red currant jelly, isn't
exactly.
it?
Yeah, pork and red currant jelly. Really interesting kind of.
Oh.
Nice. Okay. So let's have a little look now at this, which is predominantly on bush vines. It's Stellenbosch, where we're on a mixture of shale and red clay soils, whatever that means. I think red clay is obviously quite useful when you're in a fairly dry environment. Helps just cling onto the
bit
water,
of moisture, yeah.
Helps moderate the temperature a bit.
You can notice the chat's gone very quiet as everyone's having a snack.
Everyone's chomping away. Shall I move the tasting notes on then to wine number 4, the Finlayson GSM T?
4%. But what's interesting about the Finlayson, if you look at the different vintages, it changes. And it also changes grapes. It's usually GSM, but sometimes it's SGM. But there's been Carignan in there, Carmenere in there. There's so different vintages will have a slight different tendency. So they've got lots of different things growing. And Finlayson, part of the family that we've done the Crystallium wines before, is part of the Finlayson family. So they're quite wide reaching with what they do. So they've got access to some really, really good grapes.
3rd generation family. And I think that's interesting. When you look at some of the most successful wines in the world, the blend changes every year quite substantially. And you look at Chocolate Block, there's another classic South African
Cab blend.
Absolutely brilliant wine. Your Whispering Angel changes every year. And we've had some fun conversation with a company called Folk, who make an English rosé, and they are absolutely unashamed about what they want to do. They want to make a fashion-driven, really popular, beautiful, delicious English rosé, which appeals to the same people who would buy a Whispering Angel. And there's nothing wrong with that. And they've done it really well. And the blend changes completely every year. It could be doing mostly Pinot Noir from Sussex. It could be doing some a little bit of Dornfelder from Essex. Who knows? They change it every year, and they put it in the hands of winemaker. They say, make it taste like this, and it's a great rosé. It's really delicious. I think it was a standout wine when I was judging.
So
this does exactly what you want a wine called the Pepper Pot to do.
So when you selected this, what was kind of, and I'll let you go first, and we'll both do the same exercise here, because I think this is quite important when we're doing a food and wine pairing challenge. What is your thought process when you either see that, or you see a menu in a restaurant, or your wife gives you a recipe that you must cook this evening, and at what point do you go, how do you pick this? How do you decide? And and I know sometimes with what we do here, we're limited by what we can get from suppliers and those kind of stuff. And I know we go, all right, we've got this list to work from, but what's your process, and how did you get to this wine? Because your wine is very different to my wine.
They are incredibly different. I mean, they're such different colours. You look at the more brown notes of mine compared to the sort of almost kind of
winning notes of mine.
Yeah, beautiful garnet sort of red notes of yours. So I think obviously there's a large amount for me just of what I've had together in the past. I know works, because why wouldn't you bear in mind the great people that you've been tasting with and things you've tried in the past. And for me, I was straight back to when you mentioned this mushroomy, porky sauce. I was straight back to a place in my mind where I had this pot full of a sort of a broth dish, and it wasn't pork. It was actually a sort of a gamey meat from South Africa, and that just took me to South Africa, and it was that warm, cozy, happy feeling place that I got from that kind of a nice blended wine with a bit of spice to it, and I thought it worked really nicely. And honestly, if I hadn't gone to South Africa, I probably would have gone for a Rhone blend. And this is a Rhone blend, but with a bit of Tannat in there. It's that rounded, rich thing to go with. You've got different elements going in there. Are we going to be more useful? You don't want it to overpower the food, and you don't want the food to overpower it. You've got to get that level of matching. I think is quite important. I think if you've got something which is really, really fatty, then of course you want something to cut through that and refresh it.
Don't want it to drop, but the number one tasting note on this wine is
pepper.
does exactly what it says
Nailed
on the tin.
it. Absolutely nailed it.
No one's got a second tasting.
What would you put a ton of when you were making this? You'd grate a bunch of freshly grated bloody pepper on top of it, and it works. It just works.
So
flavour combinations work well together.
I think what's really interesting about what you said there, though, was you didn't start with a technical pairing. You didn't start with, well, pork's quite lean compared to some of the other fatty meats, and the mushrooms this or that. You go, I remember when I had something like that.
What made me happy?
And I had that with it, and it's recreating. When we talk about wine tasting, wine is one of those things that it can just take you places. You pick something up, you close your eyes, you drink the glass, and you can be there. You know, you can drink a light rosé and be on the French Riviera. You can drink a great cab and be sat, you know, in Napa Valley in your mind. You know, you can absolutely do that.
Yeah.
Doing that with food, wine is that one thing that can take you intrinsic. Food and wine can take you anywhere in the world. You go this, you know.
And they say that smell and taste are some of the strongest memory kind of prompts that you get.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, I remember when I smelt something. I was wandering around my school, and I must have been about 13 or so, and I suddenly smelt something, and it took me back to a holiday that I'd been on where they must be using exactly the same cleaning thing. Just bang, straight back there. I was Malta, and I was 3 years old, and I suddenly remember that. That's the kind of prompt that a strong smell or flavour can give you.
And that's interesting. And I that's a great way to do it. Great way to is recreating great. I'm trying to recreate great memories through wine and food, and that's really cool, isn't it?
I don't have the you know, the basis in terms of all the training and all the experience you've done working with some amazing chefs and putting together pairing menus. So I just kind of go for what I
but you've liked that kind of food before,
and
you liked it with that wine
with that.
So let's do it again.
Yeah, why not? Nothing wrong with that.
You know, I say to a lot of people, like, it's quite hard to mess up food and wine pairing badly, because if you've got good food and good wine, you're gonna be okay. Because we could have done this with a Chardonnay, and it would have been delicious.
It would have been fine.
You know, we could have done it with a Riesling. Would have been perfect, because everything's perfect with a Riesling. But that's a different story. Which is interesting, because I do it slightly differently.
You have some logic to it.
Not even that. When I get the chance, and I've not been in the restaurant industry for a little while now, because I've been putting wine in boxes and pouches. But you know, when I was, you know, fine dining restaurants, I use food and wine pairing as my opportunity to take people to a new place, somewhere they hadn't been before, a new world. And especially if it is a food and wine pairing that, you know, done in a kind of tasting menu style, you're only having this much of it. And you get that chance to drink something that you wouldn't normally drink, you wouldn't normally try. And if you love it, wow, it's and if you don't, in a restaurant environment, I can go and fix that.
100 ml of it.
It's a bit different to if you're cooking something at home and you go, oh, I've just bought this bottle from my independent wine store to go with it. You're a bit stuck.
Yeah.
But if you're in a restaurant, the joy of having that almost unlimited wine list. You know, I've worked in restaurants with thousands of different wines on the list and go, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do this. And it's just that opportunity to just take people to a different world, because that's what the chef's trying to do. You know, you go to a Michelin star restaurant, you order chicken, you ain't getting chicken like you've never had it before. No. So why would you want wine like you've ever had it before?
And I think that's what's really interesting about your pairing with this. I think my pairing is a very nice wine that goes with some very nice food, and I think yours transforms the food to the next level. I absolutely, hand on heart, I give it to you this round to you. That's really fun. If I was just going to have a glass of it to drink, I'd go for the pepper pot. And I think it doesn't work horribly at all. It's really nice, but in the same way that maybe the Sauvignon got a little bit lost, this is just like grating pepper on that and having a little bit.
Yeah, so this almost, for me, the Frappato adds another dimension to the dish and the wine.
Yeah,
the pepper pot just adds a layer of flavour.
Yeah,
and that,
which is good,
which is perfect. But it is that thing that going from, how do I say this without sounding really bloody arrogant? There's something about food and wine pairing that is quite easy to get it good.
Yeah,
to get it good is quite easy. That goes with that. But to pick something that enhances both the food and the wine. That's where
that's the magic.
That's where the skill is.
happens,
That's what a sommelier can do.
Yeah.
Like anyone can go, I'm having roast chicken, and that will go great with
a
Chardonnay.
Yeah,
but there's not many people that go, I'm having chicken in a red wine Rioja sauce and pair it with a Verdecca from the south of Italy.
Indeed.
And I will go back to that till the end of days.
No, but I still think that the magical one that you did on that tasting, and apologies for those of you who were there and, yada, yada. We did a kind of a very, very light, pardon me, we had a cheese course, and I picked a really pongy French Southern cheese. In fact, if you think about it, I did exactly what I'd done there. I went back to one of the memories of youth and exciting, fun things that I did, having pongy French cheese with big, grippy, tannic French Southern wine, which took me to that happy place, but didn't do anything magical. What yours did was it turned this wine into a lemon, the cheese into a lemon meringue pie.
Oh yeah, it was the Brillat Savarin, wasn't it?
Brillat Savarin.
We did Brillat Savarin. You did it with a Cabernet Franc, didn't you?
Oh, I did a different cheese. We did different cheeses. Yeah,
and you did it with a Cabernet Franc that was there, and I did Brillat Savarin with a late harvest Marsanne,
cane cut Marsanne,
and it tasted like vanilla ice cream.
It was vanilla ice cream, but with citrus, with meringue, it was just like sparks going off. And I to me, that's the same kind of thing that's going on with this dish, is that really it is like there's a totally different element on the dish.
But what I loved about that tasting, so that tasting was when we were still doing it out of Trig Winery, and we just had person after person, like in the next week, come down and go, have you got the vanilla cheesecake wine? And they just came down and they bought a block of the cheese, and a bottle of the wine. It was phenomenal.
I think Pauline's absolutely nailed it. A normal tasting, my favourite definitely is number 3. With that food, I think that's spectacular. Hat tip there, mate. I'm going to move it on, but I know you've won because that's definitely.
But I think this is cool, and Pauline's notes is it's the right wine for the right occasion, because the Frappato, sod the pairing. Like, you could sit and have this a little bit chilled in the sunshine if you wanted to. Yeah. Have this slightly chilled if you wanted to. The pepper pot for me I think it's a solid if you just want to have a glass of something. But I couldn't sit and drink 2 or 3 glasses of this. It's a bit much.
Sicily's funny, isn't it? Because
it's hilarious.
On one sense, it makes so much absolute crap. I mean, I'm sorry, it does, because they don't even sell it as wine. It just goes off to be blended into things for cooking with, or
80% of Sicily is bulk wine.
Yeah, absolute bulk wine. It's hot, but not too hot, and it makes a lot. You can grow a lot there.
You get good ripeness, you get good yield.
Disease free because the winds keep it all nice and clear. But then you get stuff like the Etna Rossos, which are absolutely spectacular and weird and awesome, and this is slightly weird and super awesome.
But these guys are part of a co-op and make some really, really good stuff, and across the board. And I'm not going to overdo pricing here yet, but I think the value for money on this wine it's silly. It's so good.
Interesting. Okay, well, let's chaps and ladies and gentlemen and anybody else. Do pop your notes in now, because you can vote on who has the best pairing on this. Oh my gosh, it's close again. It's very similar kind of closeness to the previous round, but interesting to see. So I'm intrigued. So it's the next round. We've gone for a creme brulee, but you had to tart it up a bit, didn't you?
Well, I couldn't just do a creme brulee, so I did a white chocolate orange thyme creme brulee. Yeah.
What was William's verdict on this one?
So so to be fair, he helped me make them last night. My wife was out, so
I was at the proms, so
he helped me do it. Good kid, but it's just like, can you whisk that? It's whisked. I'm like, no, that's not whisked. Let's actually whisk it. Don't poke the egg yolks. Let's go sunshine.
This has to be a little bit mixed.
Bit of oomph about it. So we decided we'd do a trial one for breakfast this morning. Yeah. And he absolutely loved it until he found the little bit of time in there. He's like, I don't like this anymore. I'm like, you loved it. Get over it. So, but there we go. That's got nothing to do with it. Anyway, this is unfortunately this is the day of promos. Am I allowed to do my next promo?
Oh, so you can promo it. Yeah, I don't know how to get it to show the
Oh, no.
results, but
You need to click show results.
Oh, show. Oh, where? There.
Down.
What?
If you'd done that 30 seconds ago,
when I was about to click that, the Frappato was in the lead, so you've still got time to change the results. So if you want to make Jamie a happier bunny, but I mean, absolutely on its own.
What's the login? Slido. I'm very disappointed in everyone. But anyway, so
I mean, the GSM brand's lovely. It's a cracking wine. It's so.
If that makes you, if that's 2-0, you've won. There's no point doing creme brulee. We'll just go home now.
Go home, bye.
Let's go home now.
Yeah, you got a book through the post.
I got a book through. I got an email a couple of weeks ago going, "We're writing a new book. Would you like a copy?" I'm like, "Wow,
sure."
Cool. Now I'm getting freebies in the post. So this is Oxfordshire Uncle. So wines of Oxfordshire and the surrounding areas by a guy called Marcus Rees, and it is a lovely, lovely, beautifully put together guide of all the great wineries you should go and see. People like Brightwell, people like Dawes Hill, some really cool stuff in there. So, we're going to try and work with them for our English tasting in the next couple of months. Look, he's going to read and go, been there.
No, I'm intrigued because I'm intrigued to what it says about Dawes Hill.
Okay. He's going to do a little bit of side reading while I so we are going to be doing, not next month, the month after, we're going to be doing our English wine tasting and hopefully collaborate with some of the wineries in here. If you are a fan of learning more about English wine, the book, I don't often do promos like this, do I? The book is available at Meze Publishing, M-E-Z-E Publishing. And if you use the code WINE, it's very easy, hey, WINE, W-I-N-E, that'll get you £3 off, and I think it's free. Free shipping.
Happy at that.
Look at that. Does that make me an influencer?
I'm fact checking this because obviously, I wanted to make sure that we're giving good recommendations. So, Dawes Hill, you just mentioned it. I met when I was first learning winemaking. I met the winemaker of Dawes Hill at Plumpton College, which is where you learn winemaking in the UK. And oh, hello, camera's gone.
Oh.
Do you want to bring that one up and? Pardon me. Oh, good old IT stuff. Right, let's make that the big one and turn that one off. No, I think. Hello. We are attempting once more to see if we can get this to work.
That's strange because it looks like we have sound.
Everything here says we have sound. Audio. Options. Oh, it's back. Fantastic. Okay.
Don't click anything else. Stop clicking stuff.
IT stuff. Love it. Anyway, we fact checked the book and it's bang on. So go and check out the Oxfordshire wines book because it's. I think they've expanded the definition of Oxfordshire a little, which is probably a good plan. There are lots just on the edges, like you think about Harrow and Hope, which is Marlow, absolutely spectacular vineyard run by Henry Laithwaite of the Laithwaites family. They are doing some amazing stuff, but there's so many things around which are worth checking out. Chilterns and Oxford, and
there's some nice stuff on our doorstep.
Stuff, pretty pictures as well.
I was going to say on your doorstep, but people are everywhere.
Right, let me turn the camera back towards you as well. There we go. Right. Old school with a webcam. Excellent. Two very different looking wines for the dessert wines. Now, we are pairing this, as we've mentioned, with a creme brulee, which is an interesting dessert to pair with because it's got an awful lot of creaminess. It has an awful lot of sugar. And in this case, we've now got some quite complex flavour elements. And it needs fire. Fire.
You know we couldn't get the sound to work. Do you really think I should be playing with a blowtorch? Okay, here we go.
Oh, I wish we had the camera. I tell you what, let's bring it over. Look at that, professional. We set fire to the whole online wine tasting club factory. Oh, crikey. With a mouse. The joy of live TV.
So let's move the tasting notes onto wine 5 so people can start putting it on.
The mouse hasn't melted. Okay. So you've gone for a port.
I've gone for a port.
I was surprised by that. But obviously I trust your logic.
Hot on the edges.
Hot on the edges. Hot. So that bit's quite hot on the old tablecloth as well.
He's only got to burn a hole in the tablecloth. Don't burn a hole in the tablecloth.
Don't burn a hole in the tablecloth. Right. Well, top tip. Let that
they're
cool
deep-fridging
so
the pudding. That's why we turn the sound off, so everyone can deep-fridge their pudding.
Quite right.
Not very good of us.
Tell us about your port. I mean, white port in general doesn't get as much love as red port, and red port doesn't get as much love as it should do.
Yeah. So this was interesting because you could do creme brulee, and I've gone like a weirdo again, haven't I? I've gone like a weirdo. You could have done a classic. I could have done a Sauternes. I could have done a Cadillac. I could have done Australian Marsanne. But I just thought
you've done a giggle wine. And that's a Monbazillac to anyone who isn't in my wife's family.
But I just kind of thought to try something a little bit different because I put the orange in here, because I put the herbs in there, and thyme having that slightly lemony flavour. It just kind of lights us up. And sometimes when you go sweet and then you add more sweet, it just becomes a little bit overbearing, a little bit too cloying, a little bit too sticky. And it's just kind of adding flavour on flavour on flavour. Whereas if you have something that, this has still got some sugar to it, still got some sweetness to it, but it's got this lovely acidity. So my thought was, you have a little mouthful of this, a sip of that, and the acidity will almost act like a squeegee and kind of balance and kind of cleanse the palate a little bit. So you go back again. So it's tasting fresh each time, and you're not kind of overwhelmed.
Which there's a solid logic to that, I've got to say. Isn't that one of the bits of Amélie, the film, where she's talking about the things which give her unreasonable amounts of pleasure, and tapping and breaking through the crust of a creme brulee is definitely one of those dirty pleasure kind of things that... Now, is this white or tawny? I believe it's white, port, isn't it? Yeah.
It's Quinta Portal fine white, Malvasia Fina and Gouveia.
One of the fun things that I've had in recent years was when I was judging at the canned wine competition, and we had the Taylor's chip dry white port and tonic in a can, which was, I have to say, compared to some of the canned wines that we'd been drinking, was just so delicious and so refreshing. It's such a good drink for the summer.
That is a good creme brulee. If I do say so myself. Nice crap. Do you hear the crap?
Oh yeah. That's good. It's a great wine, that.
So I can't remember the last. Well, I can. I don't know if I made them in between, but I did in a previous life. I made a creme brulee when I won a Young Chef of the Year in 1998. It was a
1998.
Yeah, I know. Show my age. Young Chef of the Year. But that was
very impressive.
A different life. White chocolate, dark chocolate, half and half creme brulee. Nice.
That you're absolutely right. The refreshing character of that really is nice. I have to say the orange and the white chocolate are really well judged. Apologies, you can't taste this along, but this is.
If you followed the recipe,
really good.
if you followed the recipe.
I haven't got any time yet, but
so yeah. So interesting. You know, white port. I think is so versatile because you can have it as an aperitif if you want. A white port and tonic is becoming a really popular cocktail. Or, you know, you wanted to do, you know, keep it more desserty, a white port and lemonade, you know, do it like a white wine spritzer kind of thing. You know, the thing with having drinking port is obviously you're sitting 19.5%, 20% alcohol.
That's true.
So if you do add something to it, like, you know, a bit of tonic or a bit, you know, it's a sipping kind of thing. So
I went in a slightly different direction. When I saw that he was putting orange into the recipe, I started moving away slightly from the kind of Sauternes direction. I remembered back to some of the Australian stickies, as they call them, the dessert wines that we had. And I think that was one of the things. So this Topaig style is made, it's a non-vintage wine, and it's made in what they call a Solera style. Now,
I don't care what you're saying. Kathy's comment has to come up. Sorry. I've got to win at something tonight, and I'm winning at making creme brulees.
You're definitely winning. That's a stunning creme brulee, mate. So the whole concept of the Solera system, which comes from sherry, is that you start with wine from this year, and then it goes down into this kind of pyramid of barrels. Only it might not be arranged in a pyramid, it might be arranged some other way, but that's how it works. The wine goes down progressively, and you take the wine out of the bottom, and it's a blend of all of these different years of wine to give you some fresh, young stuff of crispness and freshness, and some old, rich, stunning stuff for depth of flavour and character.
And it almost creates a house style. So year on year, the wine, it does change because obviously you've got new wine going in, but if you've got a really long Solera, you're going to have a kind of a standardised kind of style. So the grape in here is a grape called Muscadel.
Yeah.
And it's not often you see Muscadel as a single variety. It's used quite a lot, but less and less as a blending grape for white Bordeaux, you know, Semillon, Sauvignon, and Muscadel. But it's a wine style that's not done anywhere else, and this is what I kind of like finding. Like white port, I say you don't find white port anywhere else. There's one place that I've had a white port style, which I absolutely fell in love with, and that was in Austria, and it's a
wow,
so
okay.
Domaine you've had it.
Yes, the VDN, wasn't it?
They make Grüner Veltliner.
Yeah,
and they've got a distillery on site, and they make a Grüner Veltliner brandy. So it's basically a Grüner Veltliner white port from Austria. It's really cool.
So, okay, both of these wines are fantastic.
Should we have a quick look at my tasting notes, and then we can get people to move on to theirs?
Caramel, orange, onion, and boozy peaches. What a great note that is.
That's my nickname.
This one is darker. It's more intense. It's more broody. It's a kind of like it's like not broody, brooding. It's like kind of it's certainly more in your face, isn't it? The Topaig.
The interesting thing for me about this, because the creme brulee is so sweet. Yeah, the wine is almost not sweet enough. The wine,
Your one or
no,
my
your one.
Yeah.
It almost tastes slightly dry and nutty because there's so much sugar in the creme brulee, which is phenomenal. So I kind of wish I'd tried that before I'd actually had the creme brulee because I think I'd be in a different world. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
And I think that's an important thing when pairing desserts is you've got to match your levels of sweetness. And that's why creme brulee is a difficult dessert pairing because it is so sweet. When you have chocolate, you get the bitterness from the chocolate. And this is just sugar and cream topped with sugar.
So I was going with the orange, and I thought I wanted to pair that kind of orange peely flavour that you get from that. And then they describe it as almost like quince and kind of kumquat sort of flavours going to that. But I get an orange peel from those Topake style or Aussie stickies. But it's too strong, especially when you talk about that mismatch of the sweetness. I think the flavours are too strong with this. I think you're right. The white port's just more refreshing, and it works better again.
Do you want to move the tasting notes on
delicious.
So we can
let's get the tasting notes on to the next wine and see how that is going. So Stanton and Colleen.
Topake
from Rutherglen.
So you get Topakes, you get Topake Reserve. There's lots of different styles and aging rules as you go through these Rutherglen stickies, and they're such a unique style. They're really cool. And I remember, I always go back to when I was in Australia, don't I? But it was last day. We were at the University of Melbourne with a bunch of Australians getting together, and we tasted, I think, 35 stickies back to back to back. And if there's ever something that is palate fatigue, it was like, holy moly, my mouth is just like glued together. I can't talk anymore. But it really opened my eyes up to this. And those who have been with us for a while remember when we did the wine from Jane Campbell. Absolutely fantastic. And it's not often we get to do side by side kind of like dessert style wines because A, they're quite expensive generally because a lot of them come in half bottles, and B, they become a bit overwhelming when you're only doing 6 wines to showcase a region or showcase an area. It's kind of difficult to do both of them. M&S white chocolate and passion fruit.
Nice.
I like that, and I think you know what Paulie's put here. I think this kind of goes back to the white chocolate and passion fruit is very high on the sugar scale.
Yeah.
Without, chocolate makes life easier. I'll go back to that level of bitterness, or something that's like a lemon meringue pie has a lot of citrus in it. This has orange flavour, but it's not citrusy. Yeah?
No, it's not, no.
So if you have chocolate for bitterness or citrusiness or something like that, that's easier to pair with something that's not quite so sweet. But if you look at the tasting notes, this is a much more complex wine. There's a lot more going on with this. Prune, marmalade, Christmas cake.
Yes, yeah, I think, and that comes from the combination of different ages. Of course.
And I think that's maybe the dessert is relatively simple flavour profile.
Yeah,
it's sweet, orange, chocolate,
and herbs.
A touch, but it's times kind of lemony, so it just blends in with the orange a bit. But this with Christmas cake, prune, marmalade, this is, you go have a glass of this at Christmas with your Christmas pudding, with the fruit, with the brandy, that's going to be your thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it is the right wine for the right occasion, and that's how that together. That's not bad.
It's not bad.
They're both delicious, but it doesn't make one get better than the other. That I'm now throwing down is phenomenal. So there we go. We did that while that was on the big screen, so it's okay.
I think that kind of Christmassy dessert.
Oh, there we go. As I was talking, I didn't see that before I started talking it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
For sure, the chocolate chestnutty thing or the big fruity boozy puddings, definitely. With this, it slightly overpowers the
delicate nature of my beautiful brulee.
Yeah. I'm giving that one to you as well.
Coming back to a promo.
I think I won the first one
because we're talking about Christmas. You can have it now.
It's in our advent calendar.
We keep pushing it because we love you all dearly. I know lots of people already got one, so if you've already got one booked, ignore this. If you haven't got one booked, get one. It's a limited edition. For those who go, it's far too early to pay for an advent calendar, I don't want to do that. If you click on the link that Alex is about to put up when he finishes creme brulee, you can go to the website and you can reserve one for a mere £10. So go get it done, get sorted, have it.
It's not too early now because Virgin are selling theirs, and
and I've got the list. I'm going to do the list.
Our wines are better than theirs.
Wow, there's a promo view on them.
It's true. Our wines are better than theirs. Sorry.
So
it's
we are going to be doing 24 days around the world in the Phileas Fogg kind of thing. But we are going to start in England. We're then going to do France, Italy, Germany, Slovenia, Lebanon, India, Thailand, China, Japan, Australia, New Zealand. We're going to go to the States, do California,
we're doing
Oregon,
Monsoon Valley. We are doing that.
We are.
Cool.
We're then going to Uruguay, Chile, Argentina, South Africa, and then we're going to make our way back up through Madeira, Portugal, Spain, and then finish in Sussex. That's it.
That is 24 days around the entire wine world, every major region.
With a little video every day to let you know what's going on with the wine. But there we go. Anyway, that's the end of the promos. We did a sorted food promo. We did a book promo.
Yeah.
We did advent calendar promo. So we're all promoted out for the summer now. And we won't do any promos next month.
We don't have to say like and subscribe anymore.
No, we can just put the kids at the front.
Let's find out who won that last round. Because not that it matters, because I've won. So.
Oh no, you don't yet. This is the favourite pairing for this one.
Okay.
There's then an overall.
There's an overall. All right. Okay.
So I'm going to let people go. So anyway, while we're letting this run, we thought wine and food pairing for a quiz is so it's so what you like and what you don't like.
Yeah.
No. What would be the best pairing with a roast chicken dinner?
So we'll come back with that.
So we're not got a quiz this month because we thought.
I tell you what, if you want to feel quizzy, champagne is famously made from predominantly 3 grape varieties, isn't it?
Yes.
Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, and Pinot Meunier.
Mm-hmm.
But for those of you who have studied to a super high level, you will know that the actual full list of wines that you can, grape varieties that you can choose for champagne, extends to 7.
It did.
It did. Until this week. And this week, they allowed an 8th grape variety into champagne. So for nothing at all other than the joy of getting it right.
Or proof that you can Google quickly.
Proof that you can Google quickly. What are the other grape varieties other than Pinot Noir, Pinot Meunier, and Chardonnay that you can put into champagne? And what's the new one? And even better, have you ever heard of the new one? Because I bloody haven't.
Well, you have now.
I haven't. I can't remember what it's called.
It sounds like a Pikachu attack.
It does, doesn't it? Yes. Yeah.
But anyway, so we'll go back. Apologies, this month was delayed. The world is the world. We had school holidays and Alex was around and about, and then my kids were here, and so we just had to move some things. But what we have... Oh, there's Mark Giles. Mark Giles. That must have been because I did a wine tasting in your house at the weekend. No, I didn't tell him that. He just knows. But just saying, Mark should put in the chat. How good's a private wine tasting with me, Mark? People would love me to come to their house, wouldn't they? He'll say no because I didn't leave till midnight. But that's a different story. So what we've tried to do is we've tried to get a little bit ahead of the game. We have put our tastings through till the end of the year, are now up on the website, so you can get in there.
I haven't actually checked that I can do them yet, but if not, Lee will do them.
You will do them. You have to do them. Yeah. You have no choice.
Okay.
I've booked you in. There is one, I say bonus tasting, one extra tasting. So in November, we're doing wines of France. And then we are going to do an Alsace tasting. However, I only have a limited number for the Alsace tasting.
We don't have enough to do all of the club members, which is really frustrating.
So what we're going to do is tomorrow when I get around to it, don't buy it now. I'm going to send club members an email with a discount code for first refusal to get it done. But when it's gone, it's gone. But it is an extra tasting that isn't part of the general monthly thing. So we're going to...
And it will be a significant discount. So do check. Yes.
At least 25p off. But no, I'm very luckily, I'm heading out to Alsace in a few weeks, and we're going to kind of build a full tasting, huge amounts of content. I'm nicking Alex's drone and taking that with me, so there'll be a huge amount of content.
So you can crash it into a tree for a change, not me.
So it should be a lot of fun. But coming up, we're going to do Austria next month. and I will talk a little bit about my travels to Austria. I've been to places. With ending in October, we're going to do Wines of England. To be decided on the wine. We're just trying to find some cool local people who want to work with us to bring this to life for people. In November, we're going to do France, and then the Alsace tasting. And then in December, we're going to do a review of the year. Some of our favourite wines that we haven't been able to feature yet, some of the places we've been, some of the stories we have to tell. And what we'd love to do is that as well. Have your tasting pack, but also grab a bottle of something yourself, and we'll kind of chat and talk about whatever you've got in front of you as well. So we'll have
that was the other thing about the Alsace tasting. We're doing it old school. We're doing it on Zoom so that you can all see each other and chat to each other, because it's a small number. So we're not hit by the restrictions of what Zoom can and can't do. So we're going back to Zoom. Like, remember that in the pandemic when you could see all of your neighbours' kitchens and who had ordered pizza and who'd fallen asleep.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what we're going back to, kicking it old school.
So for those of you who've been for us a while, obviously you can keep your camera off, but I think we've got a huge amount of members who are here and chat every day, and we can all meet each other in Zoom life.
Let's have a look then. Let's see what's won. What?
So that doesn't matter.
He's going to quit, isn't he?
That doesn't matter.
Yeah. You can't drag the port line to make it get bigger.
No.
Okay, all right. Okay, you're going to lock it, aren't you? Wine of the night, right? Best overall.
Skipping wine of the night. We're just going for best overall pairings. There we are. Who has the best overall pairings? There we go.
Okay. Let's let people tell you blocked that so people can actually put their numbers in, haven't you? Or something.
Nope. You know what? People are just doing this to wind me up now, aren't they?
They are. And why not? Because it's
to be fair, anyone who votes for Alex isn't going to get the discount code for Alsace. Am I allowed to say that?
If we have the monthly subscription, we'll be notified. Yes, you were.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to send an email.
If you haven't, drop us a line, because you might have opted out of marketing at some point, and that stops our system sending you an email.
Yeah.
So we've had that. So yeah. Can we have 2 votes for the pot?
Yes.
Yeah, that's fine.
So anyone who's got a monthly subscription, that email is going to go out to people who are members of the club for first refusal.
Yeah.
If you've said no to marketing, give me a shout, because I'm not allowed to send you an email.
Thanks, GDPR.
But so we're going to send that out, leave that for a few days to give club members first refusal to get it done, and then we're going to send it out to the rest of the world who might like to do it. But yeah, any final thoughts on food and wine pairing? Drop us your thoughts about what you would have had with to eat with these wines. I think that would be really interesting. Because I think especially what with some of the wines we've had haven't perhaps worked quite as well as we'd have thought with the food. But you can all go away. You know what? I sit here, I cook, I pack these wines, I select them for you people.
That's all right. I haven't spent my entire week trying to find O-rings out of food-safe material or anything in the right dimensions. But
that's got nothing to do with the show, has it?
Yes. I think the true winner is the fact that if you've done this right, your kitchen is a massive disaster zone. Because if you've done a dinner party right, that's how this ends up. And the good thing is you've drunk enough wine to not care, and then you get down in the morning, first thing, and you go, oh, bugger. and then you sort it all out, and the world's fine. Get over it, and it's all good.
Okay, just remember, I'm not cooking for Alex again.
Should we see prices?
We could look at the prices.
Let's have a look at the prices, because there's some quite interesting little things there. Now, I have been shocked. I think the real shock for me was the reds, and how we both managed to be within about 50p of each other. But B, they were that super approachable price point there, that sort of £15 mark. I think the Albarino benefited from being a little bit pricier. I think it just was that more pricey wine. Your port, is that a 750ml?
Yes, that is a 750ml port.
Okay, so that's really good value.
It is phenomenal value. Everything I do is phenomenal value. I was cheaper all the way, better value.
Yeah.
So let's do a revote now. People see the price. No, that is dumb. Okay. Anyway, we will
He's not bitter or anything like that.
No.
Just let's just show that again, just to be clear.
This is the last challenge, right? Are there any final notes in the chat? Because we should probably clean our kitchen up.
We should indeed. But there you go, Jamie. You are the star of the show. You're definitely one of the in the top
three.
I
mean, the top three
the
people
show.
on the members of the show
for sure.
Just behind you and Lee. But anyway, it's been
great
fantastic. Fun. I do jest. I think the joys, they're all fantastic wines. They're all fantastic wines made by fantastic people.
Yeah.
And
you know where to buy them.
And I like, and this isn't me being sarcastic. I truly believe if we did exactly the same tasting with exactly the same food with a different 50 people, we may well get a different result.
Yeah, of course.
And that's the joy of food and wine. But get your sorted food tasting. That's going to be a lot of fun on YouTube. Yeah. Very casual, very fun, and a different voice in the wine world. And if you like the same old voice, we're back next month.
Yep. God. We've been doing
each other's sandwiches. Right. Anyway, let's do the roll credit thing because I think people are done with us. Excellent. Have a great night, everyone.
Take care, guys,
Cheers.
And we will see you next time. Good night for now.
Bye.
Bye-bye.